we talked about them coming into the season. They lost this one. It doesn't get any easier for them, man. They had one of the hardest schedules in the nation.
I know. You better, hey, you better sink it in while you can with that Furman game because the next 3 weeks after that Furman game is like murderous row.
Ooh. Ooh. You have to Furman, boy. So let's give them the win against Furman, 1-1.
Yeah.
You go to Georgia, CBS 3:30.
Yeah.
After what I saw, I'm picking Georgia in that one.
Me too.
Yeah, Mississippi State. This might be the biggest game of the season for South Carolina. Mm-hmm. Honestly, at this juncture of the season, you're potentially going to be 1-2, and you welcome Mississippi State to town.
Right.
South Carolina cannot afford to lose that game.
No.
You can't afford to lose that game. And it's going to be tough. You're going up against Shane Beamer has to beat Zach Arnett, who is a first-year head coach. Mississippi State potentially, they look solid. They look really good against, granted it's Southeastern Louisiana, but they took care of business and won that game in the fashion they should have won it. Mm-hmm. And put up 42 points. Look good.
Yeah.
If Mississippi State can come to South Carolina and get a road win in that game, that's a game that's really going to that can really ultimately change the trajectory for both teams this season.
Absolutely.
That is a huge game in SEC circles for everybody who keeps up with SEC football. That's going to be a big matchup.
Mm-hmm. So they can't. No, you don't.
You said what?
Oh no, I was just gonna say they can't afford. By the time they play Mississippi State, they can't afford to sleep on Will Rogers and Mike Wright now, which we saw in that game, who was like running wild. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. He gives that offense a different look. Now they're not playing air raid.
Yeah. Yep. And then you go to Tennessee the following week. I know you beat them last year, but man, that's tough. Georgia, Tennessee, at home against Mississippi State. You're potentially looking at being 1-4 to start the season. It's very possible you can be 1-4. Then you play Florida at home, and then you go to Missouri. No Eli. Those Tigers, they licking their chops. They want to continue to elevate the program. That'll be an interesting. That's another swing game.
Exactly, and Eli Drinkwitz, he lives for games like this.
Yes.
He lives for games like this. When he sees you limping to the finish line, he's like, "Hey, player, I see you limping to the finish line right quick. Let me build this wall right quick so I can make sure you don't cross this finish line because I'm about to."
And Missouri's been recruiting well too. They have some high-end wide receivers on that roster. Some very talented wideouts that they've been bringing in on that team. It's tough, man. Even the games that aren't ranked, man. The SEC is tough. And you go to the 12th man and play at A&M.
Yeah.
I mean, this schedule is tough, bro. It's tough.
This is a tough schedule. No doubt. So
yeah, South Carolina can very well be fighting for bowl eligibility. They did themselves no favors by having to play Clemson and North Carolina in the non-con.
Absolutely.
As well as the teams they play in league play. So
it's
let's see. We're gonna see, man.
We're gonna see. We're gonna see. It's interesting, but that's what happens when you're playing in the SEC.
Fact, fact.
That's what
Oh
happens when
boy.
you play in the SEC. Oh man. All right. So now let's go ahead and we'll talk about Tennessee and Virginia. This game was going on during the Colorado TCU game.
Hmm.
49-13. The Volunteers defeated the Cavaliers. It was a good game. Milton looked really good. He was 21 for 30, 201 yards, and 2 touchdowns. No interceptions. He also had I'd say a highlight of the day where he just stiffed arm a guy, trying to get into the end zone. Um,
Hmm.
I saw that play. I was like, my gosh, he just schooled this guy.
If he can make plays like that,
Yes,
he's a dual threat.
absolutely, absolutely, and yeah, he overall the whole team looked good. I saw Josh Heupel talk about the day that they had, and he was very pleased with how they performed. So, if you're Tennessee Vol right now, you're excited because um, this team looks a lot more confident, a lot more tougher, physical than what they've had um, in the past. So yeah,
Yeah, it's a new man. It's a new day in Tennessee.
yeah.
Tennessee has that swagger they had back in the, what I'm saying, the late '90s, early 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
They know they belong. It's not just one of them years where all right, we're going to rank them high because of recruiting classes, but it's unproven.
Right.
Now they put it together last year. Coach Heupel has them knowing that we're a legitimate squad,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like they go into every game knowing that they're going to take care of business. We're going to put up points. We're going to win. And
Absolutely.
what they did against Virginia was expected from me. This Tennessee is a legitimate, the real deal in college football. So
Yeah.
that was that was the win. It's just another win. I feel like for them. So, taking on an okay ACC non-con opponent, but they they went out there and just played Tennessee football. And it was a little slow initially, but once they got things going, they were cooking.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Virginia had no answer. Of course, for the Volunteers. Not a good day for them. But yeah, for Tennessee, they look pretty good. So, hats off to the Volunteers. So,
For sure, for sure.
yeah. The last game before we talk about the rest of the top 25 was Ohio State going to Indiana. Um, Ohio State was a 30.5 point favorite going into Indiana.
It
And
messed up
yeah.
a lot of people's parlays. They might have messed them up.
I know. Yeah, like they went into that game, and at first I was kind of like concerned because, of course, they won the game 23-3. Um,
Hmm.
but at first I was kind of concerned with Ohio State. As I was going back on other games, and I know they're trying to figure out their whole team going forward. But Kyle McCord, he could have had a better day. I'd say he had
Yeah, he had no
239
okay
yards.
game, but
Yeah.
it wasn't necessarily, I believe, the standard. Well, I know. I'm not gonna say I believe. I know it wasn't the standard. It's not. It's not what Ohio State fans have come accustomed to seeing how Ryan Day's offenses play.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
23 points. Nah.
Yeah. That's not what you're looking for if you're a Ohio State Buckeyes fan. Yeah, I mean, I guess you could say throughout the game, it could have been worse.
It could have been worse. It
he,
could have been
he
worse.
was
And
20 for
still,
33, so
it's still an in-conference opponent, a Big Ten opponent,
mm-hmm.
and it's the season opener.
Yeah.
There's a lot of time for the team to continue to improve. It's a long season,
Mm-hmm.
and not everybody comes out the gates firing on all cylinders.
No.
Georgia with Carson Beck, slow start in that ball game.
Yeah. He
You
he
know,
also had one too.
that's another one under start, but it's like we think things should continue to improve and come together. It's just getting that first game under your belt, but definitely wasn't the performance you wanted to see. But I feel like there's no reason to overreact.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Just week one.
yeah, it's just week one. It's just week one. It's a long season. I think Ohio State will get it together.
Mm-hmm.
Do I think this Ohio State team will be in the running for national championship like some of the others we've seen?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sold on that.
They got a lot of work.
Kind of like that's the standard at Ohio State too, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they got a lot of work. I mean, as I'm looking at their schedule right now, Chris. So next week they play Youngstown State. That's going to be a win. I'm sure they're going to drop about 50, 60 points.
Right.
On Youngstown State. Nothing against Youngstown State, but that talent gap.
The talent disparity, for sure.
Really different. So it'll get a chance for McCord to get some reps, get a feeling for that offense and his players, and really see where they're at going forward. So you got that game at home. Western Kentucky is another game following Youngstown State. That game's going to be at home.
The Hilltoppers.
Yep, the Hilltoppers. And their big test, they got to go to Notre Dame.
That's going to be the test. Yeah. That's where we'll learn a lot more about both teams. But yes, that's going to be the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's going to be an interesting game. So, I want to see how McCord and Hartman kind of fare once they take on each other in that game, because it could be some big playoff implications by the time that game rolls around. October 7th, after the Notre Dame game, they got to play Maryland. That game's going to be at home at Purdue the following week. Purdue is
a trap game.
One of those trap teams, of course. They live by that. They have been for a while. So yeah.
Rondell Moore cook against Ohio State in the past. That's a trap game.
Oh yeah. So they hopefully by then they should get all of the kinks out by that time. Not saying that they're gonna beat Purdue, not saying that they're gonna lose to them, but by that time they should have learned a lot about who they are as a team. By the time they play Purdue, and then they have to play Penn State. Luckily, that game is at home for them.
That's it.
So
that's going to be a tough one.
Yeah,
Penn State's very good.
Yeah, absolutely. At Wisconsin, October the 28th. That game might be another one of those Purdue-ish type games. So yeah, they're gonna have to watch out for that one. At Rutgers, I'm gonna say this: I watched Rutgers
You watching
take
the
on
Rutgers
North.
game?
Yeah, I watched Rutgers take on Northwestern, and I feel like Rutgers is going to give some people a run for their money this year. Like I think
Rutgers,
it's
hey,
happening.
every like 5 years, man, Rutgers has a team that comes in and shocks people.
I know. I know it happens. It happens every time.
Yeah, there's very well. I'm gonna be sure to look at some Rutgers this upcoming week and try to see how the squads look because I can't tell you anything about their team this year.
Hmm.
I didn't see any of that game, but based on what you said, I'm gonna give them a look.
Yeah. Their quarterback. Um, yeah, Gavin Wimsatt, if I'm saying his name correctly. Apologies if not. He looked confident in the backfield in the pocket. So overall his team had a pretty good day against Northwestern. Yeah, they Rutgers won that game 24-7. So and it was at home for Rutgers, so
Hmm.
they had a little advantage there. But overall, I saw some matureness um, from them. So that's gonna be a game that Ohio State. It's also they can't sleepwalk in that game.
Right, right.
So yeah, and then
We're gonna see, man.
yeah,
There's some matchups on the schedule.
yeah, it is. It is. And yeah, the last three games, of course, in Ohio State schedule, and then we'll talk about the other games. Is um, November the 11th. They have Michigan State and Minnesota on November the 18th, and then of course the game
Gang.
between Ohio State and Michigan on November the 25th, the 25th of
This was
November.
at
So
Michigan too.
yeah, and they gotta go to Michigan. So
This one's at Michigan. Yeah.
yeah, we'll see how Ohio State fares, and see what happens with the Buckeyes. I feel like it's the first week. I like Kyle McCord. I think he'll be fine. That's one of the
He
things
has
about
two of the
Ohio
best
State.
receivers in the nation. He's throwing the football too. I think
Exactly.
things will come together.
Yeah, yeah. I think he'll be fine. I don't think he's gonna be struggling at all, and I think Ryan Day is gonna make sure that doesn't happen. So I
Mhm.
think they'll be battle tested um, very soon. So yeah, those were some of the top games of the week,
Mhm.
Chris. So pretty much now I'm just gonna go over and talk about some of the other scores that went on around the country. So um,
But I'm, I'm I'm ready for us to talk about a couple of the games on this week's slate.
yeah,
This we got a couple. It's gonna be fun to talk about.
oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Let's see, what's some of the scores you got for us though for the people tuning in and listening?
yeah, absolutely. All right, so number 9, Clemson has a road game against the Duke Blue Devils. This was a game that I thought Clemson could manage easily. Did not happen. The Blue Devils defeated Clemson 28-7 at home, and that was like their first AP top 10 win since 1989, and that team was none other than the Clemson Tigers. So that was an eye opener for me. I was not looking for Duke to have the edge against Clemson, but hey, hats off to Mike Elko and his team. They had a perfect game plan against Cade Klubnik and his squad. So yeah, hats off to them. USC, number 6 USC, took on the Nevada Wolfpack. They defeated them 66-14. Caleb Williams had a big day, 18 for 24, threw for 319 yards and 5 touchdowns. So a big day for the Trojans as they took on the Wolfpack. They dominated that game.
Mm-hmm.
This game, Chris, was earlier in the week, and I know we had kind of made a little joke about it. Florida went to
Mm-hmm.
Utah. Florida players talking about how Utah's stadium
Yeah.
was too
Little
small and
stadium.
everything.
Uh-huh.
And they got kicked in the chest 24-11 out in Salt Lake City.
Yeah. Good win for Utah. Florida has a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
Coach Napier, you know, we'll see, man. He has a lot of work ahead of him, man. Florida, they got to put it together. Um,
They have to.
they didn't move me. They
No.
they didn't look good.
No. Granted, Graham Mertz, which is the new starting quarterback, he had 333 yards and threw for a touchdown. Then he also threw for a terrible, terrible interception that ended up leading Utah into the red zone.
Mm-hmm.
So you can look at that game and you can see some good things from it from him. But
Yeah.
overall, I'd say it wasn't a great day for the Gators at all. So we'll definitely have to see what happens this coming week.
Right.
See if they can get things together. So yeah. Number 1 Georgia defeated UT Martin 48-7. Carson Beck is now at the helm for the Bulldogs. He had 294 yards and a touchdown. So
Yeah. A little bit of a slow start for Georgia on offense in that game, but ultimately they got it together, closed well, looked solid when things started clicking. I think it's just another game, as they continue to tune things up for the SEC play and continue to get back those reps. New quarterback, man. Another team with a new quarterback.
yeah, absolutely. Definitely agree. Number 2 Michigan defeated East Carolina 30-3. Jim Harbaugh is currently serving
Free Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah, I know. Currently serving that 3-game suspension by the NCAA over some COVID-19 restrictions that were made. So I think he had pretty much said he was very pleased with the team as he was watching it on his couch. I'm sure. But yeah. Overall, Michigan looked good. JJ McCarthy was 200. He had 280 yards and 3 touchdowns. So a good day from him.
Good day in the office for Michigan. Another win. Solid. Team looks solid. They'll only continue to get better from here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. And Alabama, number 4 Alabama took on Middle Tennessee. Jalen Milroe is now the starting quarterback for the Crimson Tide, Chris. He had 5 total touchdowns in this game as the Crimson Tide defeated the Blue Raiders 56-7. What did you think about that game?
I was ready to see how Alabama looked, and Alabama looked good.
Yeah.
They looked good. I liked what I saw from the Crimson Tide. It makes my preseason prediction a little interesting because I didn't like what I saw from Texas, who I'm sure we'll get to soon. Yeah. But Bama looked good.
Absolutely.
Granted, it is MTSU, but still, Bama did what they needed to do. And yeah, it makes for an interesting game this week.
Absolutely. I definitely agree. Yeah. So, number 7 Penn State defeating West Virginia 38-15. Number 10 Washington with my guy Michael Penix Jr. They defeated Boise State 56-19. Michael Penix Jr. had 450 yards and 5 touchdowns. Really lit it up over the weekend.
That's yeah. I believe probably in a lot of people's eyes, that's a dark horse candidate for the Heisman. Someone to keep an eye on throughout the season.
Absolutely. So, a good day for him. A really good day, I'd say. Number 11, Texas. Those Longhorns down in Austin, my neck of the woods. They defeated Rice 37-10. So Quinn Ewers, he had 260 yards and 3 touchdowns. So good day for the Longhorns, for sure.
They got the win.
Yeah, got the win.
But
got the win.
It wasn't great. That first half, they had a lot of missed opportunities in that game. And just leaving points on the field.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm curious. I'm curious to see how things continue to play out. Because if they struggle like that against Alabama,
yeah,
we'll see. I'm curious how this quarterback situation continues to play out. I love Quinn, but we've seen other big time programs make the turn to their highly touted 5-star quarterback.
Right.
When they're kind of struggling. And I know Texas really wants this win against Alabama this week.
Absolutely.
I'm just curious if there might be a switch made in the game if things aren't looking right.
you just kind of turn over and you just like, hey, Manning.
So we'll see. We'll see.
We'll see.
We're going to see, but that's going to be a very interesting game, man. That's the matchup I feel like of the weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. I am so ready for that game. I am definitely ready for that game. So we'll see what happens, of course. So just to wrap up here, we got number 13 Notre Dame. They took on Tennessee State. The Notre Dame Fighting Irish won that game 56-3. Sam Hartman, 194 yards and 2 touchdowns. Number 15 Oregon put on a shellacking against Portland State, 81-7. Chris, did you see Oregon's mascot get tired from doing push-ups?
Hey man, my man passed out from all the push-ups.
Oh
His
my gosh.
Swole right now.
I'm telling you.
Work.
I'm telling you, he's gonna walk in next game looking like Debo. Mark my words.
Oh man.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
Oregon took care of business.
Yeah, they took care of business. So it was a big day for Bo Nix and his squad. Number 16 Kansas State defeated Southeast Missouri 45-0. Number 19 Wisconsin defeated Buffalo 38-17. Number 20 Oklahoma defeated Arkansas State 73-0. Former Tennessee coach was Bush Jones. Oh my gosh, he had that look on his face where he was just like, I don't know what to do right now.
Hey, if you're an Oklahoma fan, that's the win you needed to see. That's not to hype up beating Arkansas State, but coming off of last season, you needed to see your team be dominant.
Absolutely. So a really good day.
They were dominant.
Yeah, they were dominant, and you needed to have a game like that after the way Oklahoma performed last year. So a really good day for the Sooners.
Mm-hmm.
And we got number 22 Ole Miss taking on Mercer. They defeated them 73-7. Jackson Dart, 334 yards through the air with 4 touchdowns. Quinshon Judkins had 13 carries, 60 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So, good day for the Rebels. Lane Kiffin, really padding those stats on a weekly
Mhm.
basis when he
Hey,
can.
you know how Lane get down, man. You already know how Lane gets down.
Absolutely.
And for the
Absolutely.
Reds, just look another one of those taking care of business games.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see how this team continues to play as the season moves forward.
Yes.
I'm intrigued, of course, because I'm sure the Mississippi bias a little bit has something to do with it being from Mississippi. But I'm intrigued to see how the Mississippi schools and SEC how their seasons play out.
Yeah. Yeah. Most definitely. So
And
yeah.
next we also and Ole Miss has a big time matchup too this week.
Um, if
Is that
if
this
I
week
if I can recall, I think
or is
well
that
they take on Tulane, so
yeah
that is an interesting
top
game.
25 matchup there?
Yeah, yeah. So that's going to be an interesting one, and they have to go to Tulane. So watch out, Rebels fans.
Yeah. That's going to be a fun one. Two top 25 teams going up against each other. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Number 23 Texas A&M defeated New Mexico 52-10. Connor Wegman was he had 236 yards and 5 touchdowns. So pretty good day for Wegman, I have to say.
Yeah,
And
solid day.
yeah, like it was a pretty solid day for him. And knowing that Bobby Petrino is now operating the offense, we're curious to see what happens with A&M going forward. Can things kind of flow in a better direction? So we'll definitely see how that goes. And we have number 24 Tulane, of course, defeating South Alabama 37-17. Number 25 Iowa defeated Utah State 24-14. So yeah, that's pretty much the top 25 scores for week 1. So yeah, a pretty good week 1, I should say, from a lot of teams, of course. So we'll definitely see what week 2 happens for us. We got Texas A&M taking on Miami, and we also have Texas going to Alabama. So
We got two good matchups. And then we got Ole Miss and Tulane, another top 25 matchup.
Yep.
The slate just gets better and better.
Yeah, I think so too. The funny game of the day, Chris, as we kind of wrap up with the show today, Iowa taking on Iowa State. Let's hope there's no gambling that's involved in this game.
Man, I almost feel like if you do gamble, you probably just need to go ahead and take Iowa State.
Exactly. If you're one of the players, at this point, it's like, look, I even know what's going to happen. I'm going to be going out here playing the game, right? Oh man,
because Iowa, they still have their struggles on offense.
Mm-hmm.
I just find it so hard to choose them. I don't know, man. They still play that old offense, that 2000 offensive football. Year 2000 is 2023.
You get online and run it, all right? We playing assignment football. You over here, I'm over here, all right?
That's football. Their thing. That's their thing. And so we'll see, man. Wouldn't shock me if they win, but that's just, I don't know. That's a game, like you said. But I should probably just leave that one alone. But if I was to bet, I'd probably bet on Iowa State, honestly.
Yeah. It's just gonna be an interesting one, just knowing with all of the news coming out of that whole scandal and everything. So it's just so funny that they're playing on week 2.
Right.
So yeah,
Ole Miss Tulane, who you taking?
Oh man, Um, I have to follow my gut, and I'm on Lane Kiffin's side. I think Quinshawn Judkins is going to be a little bit too much for Tulane, and I think Ole Miss is really going to start to impose their will on them.
One of those
So
games that can be close in the first half, and then Ole Miss pulls away and
yeah,
wins big second half.
mm-hmm. You know, which I think that's probably how it's going to go. I think the first half is going to be both teams kind of, you know,
That filling out process.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and I think both teams are not gonna kind of know what hit them, but by the time the second half starts, they're gonna really start to settle in and kind of figure each other out, and it's really going to showcase Ole Miss. I think a lot more in the game, and I think they're going to eventually get the win. So I'm very much excited to see how that game fares.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Ole Miss in that one too. Like you said, and Judkins, Sunday player.
Absolutely.
Love Judkins.
Mm-hmm.
Running back coming out of Alabama. That was a great get for Lane Kiffin.
Absolutely.
And he's a big time performer. So I wouldn't be shocked if he finished the game with 180-2. Something like that.
I know. I
Wouldn't
know.
be shocked one bit if he had 180-2 and Ole Miss gets a win by like 14, 17 points.
Right.
And just to give respect to Tulane, I don't think they'll get blown out, but I think Ole Miss does win that game though, pretty solidly.
Ultimately, I think they do.
Then we also Miami A&M.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm gonna rock with A&M.
It
doesn't feel taste good to say. It doesn't come, you know what I'm saying? It's a little nasty coming out the mouth. Anytime you depend on A&M, man, they liable to let you down.
Exactly. If I had to give out my prediction, I think A&M will win it. I don't think they're going to blow out Miami.
This might just be a field goal. This could be a 3-point win.
I think so. I don't think either team they're gonna get past 20 points.
It could be another one of those games. 20-17.
Yeah. I think it could be one of those games, honestly. So we'll definitely see.
We will, because like you said, this is Petrino just getting his offense going. Miami isn't, the Miami we grew up watching, but they still have some good players, some good athletes on that side at that school, especially on defense. Mm-hmm. So we'll see. We'll see, man. A&M has all the players in the world too, all the athletes in the world that NIL money can buy.
Nick Saban knows all about it, So. Is that right, Jimbo?
We'll see if they can put it together. It's early in the year. So, like you said, I kind of do expect it to be a lower scoring game. Mm-hmm. It would shock me if it was a 37-31.
I think it would be.
Type of deal.
Mm-hmm. I don't know Miami's quarterback situation or anything like that. So, we'll definitely take the week and look into that.
I believe look at Van Dyke.
That is right.
Mm-hmm.
that is right. So yeah, I think it's going to be.
I almost have to give him a nod at the QB position. He's a little more proven, a little more experienced.
Yeah. It's just I wonder. Oh yeah. Yeah. I wonder like. Just how how the offensive line is going to fare in the game for them, because if the offensive line plays good, I think they're going to shred A&M.
If the offensive line holds up, yeah, because we know A&M has some go getters on defense. They've been pulling in 5-star recruits. The D line, one of the more talented D lines in the nation.
Yeah.
But if they can protect Van Dyke, the game becomes a lot more interesting.
Right. I'm only giving A&M the edge because I think last year they actually had a pretty decent defense.
The defense, it was solid. It was the offense that let them down,
Yeah.
or the offensive system.
Yeah. So that's what I'm looking at in this game to see kind of what happens for A&M. Like, if they play good offense and their defense fares pretty well, I think they'll be okay. But if they can't stop Van Dyke and he just starts throwing the ball everywhere around the field, like he's most likely going to expose that secondary, which I think is probably the weakest part of A&M's defense. So we'll see.
Is this the last one?
Yes, the last one. What we got? Alabama taking on Texas.
Yep.
Everyone's game of the week. I'm sure of it.
Oh man, my head tells me after watching both teams that Alabama is going to win this game. After watching both teams in week 1. But I don't want to change off what I already felt like coming into the year.
Yeah.
I don't want to be a flip-flopper. I ain't trying to be no fish. So
it's a hard one.
It is a hard one. And honestly, and there's a world, too, where Texas turns it up this week, where they learn from their mistakes. Like I said, Sark, he's going to want to get this win. They want to go into T-Town, to Tuscaloosa, and let everybody know what's coming when Texas joins the SEC. And also Nick Saban, he's been the most dominant coach in the last 15, 20 years in college football.
Yes.
He ain't ready to come up off that just yet. He still wants to let everybody know I'm still saying Nick, baby. I'm still him. Everybody has egos. Those players for Alabama, they hearing everybody talk about how great Georgia is. They still want to let everybody know we Bama.
Exactly.
So it's gonna be interesting, man. Like I said, if it is a close game, like let's just say we go into halftime and it's 10-7, but Ewers is leaving points on the field, and Texas should really be up like 14 or something like that. Like we seen him kind of hold the team back. Do they make the switch to Arch in the second half? I'm just curious. I'm curious to see how it plays out. You need this game if you're Texas. This is the game that's really going to set the tone for the season.
Yeah.
Do you crack open the Arch Manning valve? You bust it open, the little emergency valve, and let Arch loose at Tuscaloosa. That's what I'm curious to see.
We've had multiple conversations about this, Chris. Like the feeling around the Austin area, people really want to see Arch Manning, like really, really bad. For me, I think honestly, I think Alabama is going to have the edge in the game, but if I'm being honest, I think Quinn Ewers, after a year of playing with the Longhorns, this is a big year for him, and I know he really wants to play in this game, the whole game, and really showcase his skill.
For sure.
his
For
skill set.
sure. I'm sure he feels robbed from what happened last year. He was balling before
Mm-hmm.
he had to come out that game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He
Yeah.
was balling. He was playing well.
Yeah, and he remembers that. So I
Hmm.
mean, he really wants to, play in this game, perform as well as an athlete he is. He really wants to perform in this game and help Texas beat Alabama. And I think this game might turn out to be one of those games where it was just like last year, where it was very tough, physical, and it only takes like a few plays.
23 points, something
Mm-hmm.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it only takes a few plays for each team to get ahead. So um, it's, I think Alabama's going to win, but there's a part of me that does say that this is going to be like a toss-up game.
Yeah. Part of me believes that too, but I'm gonna stick with my heart. My head tells me otherwise.
Yeah,
It tells me Bama, and I by no means will be shocked if Bama mess around and they win by 21 points. I'm like, yeah,
that
Texas
sounds.
struggled week one. They, they
That sounds
struggled
about
week
right.
one. They didn't look good. That can very well happen.
Yeah, very
But
well happened.
you know, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna rock with the Longhorns though. I'm rooting for Quinn.
Okay.
I want to see him play well and someone who's highly talented prospect in his own right coming out of high school.
Absolutely.
Got beat out by C.J. Stroud, who went on to be the number 2 overall pick in the NFL draft.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It took someone like that to beat him out. He ended up transferring to Texas. Now he might have another number 1 overall pick playing behind him right now.
I know.
Well,
So
I would like to see Quinn play well, especially after how last year's game ended for him.
yeah.
Getting injured and stuff. If he can kind of right that ship
Mm-hmm.
and go to Tuscaloosa and win this one,
Absolutely.
that'll be big for his legacy as a Longhorn, and kind of maybe hush up the arch noise and everybody just let him cook.
Mm-hmm.
Just let Quinn play football, and go from there.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. So we'll see. We'll see. Those are our games for week 2. It's a big week, nonetheless. So I can't wait. But yeah, that's those are our thoughts from week 1 of the college football season, and we're getting revved up into week 2, Chris. So can't wait.
Let's do it, man. Let's get it.
Let's do it. Well, all right, Chris. I know we've been here for a while. It's always good to talk college football. Great week 1. I'm happy that we can do this again.
Yes, sir.
Feel like it's been a while that we have gotten these weekends where we can just sit down and just watch all of these great football games. But yeah. Happy that we're back doing it again. So, but
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
yeah. Before we head out, let the people know where they can reach you at on social media.
Follow me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Chris_Bolton_12. Follow me on Instagram, Chris.Bolton_ BOLTON. And holla at your boy, man. Be like, get at me. Watching all the games, keeping up with everything, and chop it up.
Absolutely. Yeah, and you can follow me on X as well, at Listen to KSW. I'm on there talking college football, professional wrestling.
We love our wrestling.
Yes, big weekend of professional wrestling as well. And a sad day of professional wrestling for me as well, being a CM Punk fan. So, You know what can you do? What can you do?
Hey, it's gonna be all right. It's gonna be all right.
It'll be all right. It'll be all right. I hope. Only one can hope, Chris. Only one can hope. But yeah, I'm on there talking all those things, video games. So yeah, feel free to chat with me then on X. Yep, I'm always willing to chop it up with anyone. So yeah, that's it for today's episode. Appreciate y'all listening in on the show, and we will catch you guys next week.
Next week, baby.
Yes.
Peace.
Peace.